Welcome back to the Making It series, Creative Careers Unlocked. I'm Sadie Clayton, your host, and today I've got Leanne Elliott Young, the CEO and founder of IoDF, which is an incredible, innovative tech cultural hub. You name it, she got it. Follow me. Leanne, I can't believe I'm actually sat in front of you. Like, you have done the most incredible, innovative injections in brands from H&M, TikTok, Gucci, Nike, the works. Who are you? Tell us, how did this all begin? What did you do at college? Where did you go to uni? Did you not?
Yeah.
Tell me everything.
So I actually studied fine art. I suppose in a way that's why we're very culture first, like what you said, and it's very community orientated because I have a fine art background, which is very much about dissecting the world and how we understand it. So I had a deeply theoretical practice that was all about today's times in society and actually fashion and the nuance of fashion and capitalism. That's what all my work was about. So I studied fine art at Norwich School of Art and Design, which is so random because I got into goldsmiths, but my parents were kind of like, oh, you're gonna stay, because I grew up in Norfolk,
right?
In a small little town, and I moved to Norwich, which is a city, but it's
meant to be gorgeous.
Yeah, but I basically got really obsessed with etching and stone lithography.
Ooh.
And I had 6-foot etching beds there, which were big acid baths that I was obsessed with. So I spent lots of time. I'm quite, I've got lots of chaotic thoughts all the time. So there's something about the process, slowed everything down. It was fine art, media, printmaking, digital imagery. So basically it introduced this kind of plethora and a really strong arc of the past and the present. So I was using Photoshop and all of these new technological tools that all of the industry were shaking their heads at. So it was really interesting to see that part of it. I think for me, and my work was always about fashion, or that kind of the vernacular of wearing clothes and what that meant to messaging in society and things like that. I was always a deep reader, so I'd have lots of theoretical backbone into my work. I finished that course. I went to the Royal Drawing School, again, very, very traditional, which is quite bizarre, the fact that I'm now a tech CEO.
Yeah.
But for me, it was always about this kind of contradiction and this big dichotomy between the future and the past and how they intersect. So I was effectively on the road to becoming a fine artist. And within that, as a fine artist, living in London, you're kind of struggling quite a lot. What does it mean? Where do you earn your money? So I then, very entrepreneurially, I suppose, set up a collective. That collective started to work with brands, and we would do big symposiums, again, that were deeply theoretical, talking about taking over spaces all around London. And within those spaces, we'd work with brands to ignite the spaces and give us some cash, right?
Yes, yeah. Where's the money?
So brand partnerships. But I became very good at dealing with brand partnerships. And one of these spectacular events that we put on, we took over lots of different spaces all around London with a big group of artists, theorists, scientists, all coming together to discuss the
tastemakers, I guess.
Yeah, totally. And really dissecting what it means to live in today's times. But again, the backbone of that was always about fashion.
Yeah.
I began doing lots of partnerships, these curatorial programs and these big partnerships with brands. And Nike found what I was doing and basically took me and effectively the agency that I'd built to work in-house with them. And then I was locked in there for 10 years with Nike.
Wow,
So, yes.
Why did I not know that?
Yeah.
Right, okay, so let's just rewind. I want to go all the way back to Norwich and your college days, because actually that is what informs who we are today, talking and leaning into that idea of the past informing the present to work on the future.
Yeah.
So for me, the keywords you were curious, you were reading a lot, you were looking at these old traditional methods and technology. So actually you had lots of spider thoughts that were kind of echoing from your brain, which is what students need today. You can't really be tunnel vision. You need to look at lots of different things that inspire you, that make you feel curious, that feed your visual narrative, that then enables you to think, oh, I'm going to read this book and look at this magazine and look at this cultural tastemaker. That really cements why you are who you are today, because you've really done the foundations. You've done that kind of that work on building who you are, what you are, but from lots of different angles, then mashing it together, fusing it together to project what you've got to. It's like a big volcano that's erupted. You're like, it makes total sense.
Yeah, and I feel like you hit the nail on the head. And like, I actually did a foundation course, which is few and
they're
far
amazing.
Yeah,
they're amazing.
It's like such a shame that there's not so many. But for me, you've got to be deep dive into all the different arenas that possibly you could be, and for me that was great. Like
deep dive keywords there.
And I like, I do read a lot, and I think it's really important. Like more and more people are spending time offline, which I think is great.
Yeah.
We had this horrible transition where everything was short form, and it said long read, and something was more than like a minute to take in.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going much back again to this idea of being thoughtful and actually, spending time in libraries rather than just spending time on Pinterest and TikTok. The marriage of the two together, I think, is really important. Like how you can effectively bring all of the breadth of knowledge that in research, both visual and written form, and also research as in spending time in places. I think like going to different countries or just being
immersed in something new.
Totally. There's not anything like you've or where you've been before.
Totally.
And then bringing that back to the digital age in which we live in, and using all of the digital tools to be able to perhaps categorize that and put it together in a more like the fact that like Pinterest and Canva, and there's loads of other tools. I won't go into a deep dive of all the different tools, but using Notion and things like that, you can really deep dive research and bring it back to a space where you can actually look at it using Miro and put it on Notion, put it all together and be like, okay, where do we want to go from here? What does this feel like? And actually, back in the day, you would cut things out and stick them on a mood board.
But now Miro does it for you.
Yeah, totally. And I'm all for actually using scissors and paper.
Yeah.
But it's, I think,
let's go back to basics.
Yeah, I think for me it's a blend, and like as IoDF, we are between those two worlds. It's like how you can bring an innovation lens and solve some of the problems that are, that have existed in this very archaic industry, which is fashion. How do you bring them together, and how do they rebound off one another? And I think that this kind of very unusual path that I took, which was fine art, which is crazy, and now I'm kind of numbers orientated, spend a lot of time in spreadsheets, and I'm doing kind of
data driven.
Oh my god, and it's like, how did all that occur? But I think like being at then when I was at Nike, it was so phenomenal. I had the pleasure of working with some of the C-suite there as well, in the innovation hub that we worked in. So we got to really learn from those big minds that exist within that phenomenal company of how to process these very imaginative and, like you said, that kind of spider diagram of thoughts and energy. How do you bring it all together in a very corporate way, but with a cultural lens?
Totally, and also remain true to the consumer, what they want, and like the storytelling, the narrative, and that's something that IoDF do very well. Like you kind of, you can work on talent casting, but you can also work on the marketing strategy, but you can also work on the innovation, the innovative outcomes. So you have this kind of 360 lens, and you're injecting this newness and this wowness, but whilst keeping the kind of DNA of a brand, which is what I think students need to do a lot more. And that's why, this kind of whole series is about looking at different brands and dissecting in different companies and dissecting what they're about, but how they develop and grow whilst remaining true and authentic to their own self.
Yeah.
So talking about storytelling, for example, yes, when you worked at Nike, obviously there's a certain narrative there that you have to push. But now having and being the CEO of your own company, what's the storytelling there, and how do you remain focused and authentic within that while still wanting to lean into newness and being curious and travel, but then also whilst getting that backlash of, being offline and, being very present in the moment with your people? Like, how do you manage and juggle all these different balls and ideas that are firing?
I think like for us as a brand, it's always this kind of, we see ourselves as like a culture lab, and technology is the backbone of that, but culture is really where the heartbeat of it is. So our brand DNA, we all wear black.
Yeah, I love it. I love
that's
it.
Kind of
opposite to me.
Yeah, that's kind of like, we are. We're like
this is Maisie, by the way.
Yeah. So it's like we've kind of, there's a certain like public appearance that we all have. But I think like with me and my co-founder, we work really symbiotically. And the IoDF brand is culture first, and culture is constantly turning. And for
How
us,
do you keep up with it?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't sleep much. My co-founder's saying we kind of spend a lot of time, but we listen a lot. Like that's the other thing. Like the team's very modular. We kind of, depending on what's happening and what different scenario, we kind of jump in and renegotiate what team are available for different project. But when it comes to like the IoDF narrative, it's very much about how we can use technology as a tool for change, how we can go beyond the like patriarchal structures that have been built, particularly in technology, which is predominantly white cis men. So how do you actually talk and be a part of these subset of communities that are very much the backbone of mine and my business partners' lives, like the LGBTQI+ agenda, like how do you make things more diverse and sustainable in an industry that is absolutely against that? And we've always been that kind of thorn in the side that then comes to them and goes, look, we're not just provocative, we come with a solution. Like when we did this amazing project with Taffy, which is Daz 3D, there was having a lot of pushback about diversity of different body types that we use in specific softwares. Like you basically couldn't put female clothes on a male body. The software was broken because the individuals that were building that software, there was bias baked into it, which we all know about technology and the big issue. Are relying on a tech stack that's been built by somebody who doesn't look or sound like us. So what does that mean? Because not everyone looks and sounds the same. So instead of like carrying on the kind of cancel culture, we went to them and said, look, there's a problem, let's fix it with you. We made the world's first non-binary digital asset set, and then we also created a group of individuals from the specific background that they were trying to recreate within the software. You know, it's the first time those kind of things have happened inside the company. So we've got an agenda, but it's all about problem solving. Like right now with the DPP, which is digital product passports that we're building, we know that sustainability is an issue in fashion. We know that also that for brands, you have a hot lead when you purchase you purchase something in store, be it physical or digital. It's a hot lead, it's a warm lead. As soon as that garment leaves and the person leaves that store, you've got no connection with them. So we were like, people are moving offline. They're social media is a dark and sinister place. Everyone's kind of like, it makes you feel bad about yourself. You know, there's
doom scrolling.
Oh, the doom scroll, babe. I'm on the AI slot, but I still love it. Everyone's moving offline. Like they want intimate connections with brands that are real. They want to see what's happening on the BTS, on the design team, how they made those decisions. Social media, brands are paying a fortune to get ahead of the algorithm to be seen. Imagine if that garment links with all the information, so it's a connected product. So every single garment, so by law, every single garment by
2027,
it's got to have it. So we were like, there's basic compliance, which is very boring.
But you made it cool, and Vogue Business told you that. I've seen it. That's amazing.
So it's really, there's a massive problem, but we're like, we're not gonna.
I think it's because it's that idea of like the unknown. People aren't educated. They're a bit like politics. People are a bit like, they need to be in it and they know they've got to understand what's going on because they've got to vote. But actually I don't quite know what's going on, and you're telling me one thing, you're telling me something else. Whereas actually you have been, you've been in Vogue Business multiple times. I've seen it. But one of the latest articles is that you're actually making it cool and giving the information so that people can actually understand what you're talking about. Layman terms. Like, let's just be real. Let's just strip it back. Whilst we're on the topic of tech, which is something that I really want to speak to you about, I remember years ago, I had an incident when I had my fashion brand with a top stylist, etc. Anyway, so Clo3D reached out to me. I've never heard of Clo3D. I was like, who are you? They're like, look, we know you've had some pieces stolen. I'd love to recreate them in Clo3D. This avatar was stood there and I was like, what? I've got to like pattern cut this piece and drape it on this mannequin. I had no idea. Then I worked with the Fabricant in Amsterdam and they kind of took over Clo3D. On that point, I wanted to talk about tech being seen as like a gimmick in some companies because 100%. they want to be in it, but again they're like, they don't know much about it, it's expensive, but how do I make it cool? So have you ever had some sort of pushback on that as a tech-driven culture lab company?
What occurred, there was this whole kind of like NFT, metaverse, and we were building technology for good, for people on the planet. So we were using Clo3D, which is a gravity simulating software. I mean, they're actually on our board, the vice president there. So we were working really closely with them because it works through a pain point in fashion. So there's process and there's so many things that technology can elevate and where it can problem solve, which we love. We've got like 7 world's first, and all of them is because something's broken. We're like, let's just fix that. And some of them, we can't even believe it's a world's first. Like, why didn't anyone think of that?
7 world first. Hello, do you hear that? 7.
Casual.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's because we can see it clearly. And when you're stuck in the beast that is the fashion industry, it's like the Titanic. They're all on the Titanic heading towards the iceberg, just playing on the top deck. You know, everyone knows these things are coming, but they don't know how to change, because it's actually quite slow fashion.
Humans don't like change either.
Exactly. So the greenwashing and the gimmick-driven tech, oh my God, we've been pulled into so many projects that it's like, no, we really see this. So we predominantly work with C-suite, because as soon as you get stuck with the marketing teams, it's like it's the fluff.
Yeah, of course
it's the gimmick fluff.
Yeah.
But
no, you need the decision makers.
Totally, but even when you work with the decision makers, sometimes they know that these kind of gimmick orientated moments are great for the sales. They're great for the traction, because it's like, okay, we're pushing boundaries. And then 9 times out of 10, it isn't absorbed into, like we would say we work studio floor to shop floor all the way through. And it's not built into production. It's not sat in those places. It does just become something which stays as a gimmick, which is why now with the DPP, because we're working with the UK and European Trade Union, this stuff has to happen.
Yeah.
So
you can't get around it.
You can't get around it, and it's so poetic for us. We were like, oh my goodness, like it feels like we've been working towards this moment, and it's amazing because everything we've built is about how customers can care more about the planet, how they can get more. Like the idea of like, you know, we know that Gen Z want to be the center of the conversation, the center of the moment. So with co-creation, it works so well for that audience, but it also works so well with the brand, because you have less SKUs in production, because you know what people want, because you have live data and insights.
Yeah.
And you can just create on demand. And when I say on demand, it's mass on demand. So I feel like because of this regulation, it's very rare that you go, woo, a regulation. Normally you're like, oh my God, it's going to be awful. Whereas actually the surprise and delight of going in and speak to brands, and we're speaking with C-suites, we're speaking with sustainability teams, we're speaking with the marketing teams, we're speaking with the product dev, and also for like the students, like obviously we're talking about like where you can sit in the fashion industry. Yeah. The industry is moving so quickly and so fast. Actually, there's so many roles. There's jobs that we don't even know. Yeah.
And also, like you said, people are wanting now to slow down, and they're kind of happy to talk about that. It's like, it's kind of cool now not to be busy. Because
babe, this is what me and you need to get Gosh. But also, I will have to say, like, you know, if we're talking about career trajectories and motherhood and creating a family,
of course.
Like, it's so important, like, when you factor that in, I think it's something you have to think about, because I didn't have a maternity leave, and I kind of like, now my child's 4, I'm having to spend more time with them, and we've built a business that's modular enough to allow me to support my child at that point.
Amazing.
And I think that as whatever your gender is, if you want to build a family, you have to like think about those things and be very vocal. Yeah. Because it's really important to have an employee that has the ability to build a family.
Yeah, totally.
And you can keep them in your company and you can support them through that. They'll stay for longer.
Yeah, for sure. So, and also, it's like right now we're building the future employers. Well, employers or employees. Yeah, like
totally,
both. You know, so for us as women in that fashion, tech, art, culture space, we want to inspire our children. And that, you know, speaks to you guys as students. A lot of you are WP students. You've got families. You've got, you know, jobs. You've got other commitments. So think about what modular case study in life can you build to help support yourself and your family. So I'm wondering, Leanne, can you give us an example where you've worked with a brand and you've made a change whereby what they think they're doing is going to become part of like history rather than nostalgia? Because a lot of brands, they want to be seen as doing the right thing, the cool thing, but actually how can they do it so it's so impactful and that they can talk about it for years to come?
Yeah, I think like, I mean, I'm wearing Oakley now.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, I normally always have my wrap-round Balenciagas.
Yeah, I love those too. I'm like, here she is.
The new me in these. So we work with Oakley.
Yes.
And they're a fantastic client. Sorry
to interrupt, but when you say you work with Oakley, what do you do with Oakley? So, if you're able to demo.
So in this instance, they wanted to do something around technology. They had a space, they had a new collection they wanted to showcase. It was going to be a panel, and we were like, okay. right, let's have a little look at this.
Yes.
Let's have a look at budgets.
Yes.
Let's have a look at what your goals are, what are the KPIs for this. Send us everything. We are going to go a deep dive on the brand. We're going to look at where you want to go. We're going to look at what the brand nuances, the areas and different arenas and the individuals that you are aligned with currently, what's coming up in the next year. And we're going to create something. So I can't believe you've just asked me this question because it's exactly what we did. Basically, we're going to create an event that births a new cycle of what Oakley is. So we were like, right, okay. So for an event, if you want to get people there, get people interested, it has to be authentic. It has to be about the community. It has to, these are the KPI, the demographics you want to speak to. Actually, we think there's a wider demographic you can speak to. Pride's on that weekend. So we need to talk to our people as well. So you're all about prototyping the future. This is part of the nuance of the brand. A panel, super interesting, but how do we create a spectacular moment that people remember for a while, and it becomes part of the history of the brand, and not something which was an event that tied into part of a delivery of exposing people to a product, because that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
So we birthed the Oakley 5. We were like, right, let's do an open call we're like, right, do you want to become the Oakley 5? Here you have to, so there's a submission criteria. We asked really wide who wants to be, sent it out to as many people as possible. So just on our social media streams and then our Substack and then all of our communities, spoke to different universities as well. And people could apply. We had so many people feedback. And we then chose 5 that were so individuals that were so different. I mean, we had photographers, we had actual individuals that were 3D printing, Charity Chase, literally, it was insane.
Amazing.
So the people that we had were so different, but they sat together as a collective, and we took them on a 2-day journey and introduced them. So it was a kind of learning via Oakley, via their mission, via their goals. So when they won, it was a big moment, kind of like an event as the unveiling. So everyone who submitted also came down. So there was so many people, and all of a sudden the Oakley brand became something beyond just an influencer event. The people who actually gave about it. They were obsessed because they'd put the application in, they'd learned loads about the brand.
Even you built a community for them.
It was phenomenal. Amazing. So, and we had top tier influencers as well there that were relevant. Different sports stars, but people that are really steeped in culture, some gamers. It was phenomenal event. But what we did is we brought all these amazing tools. So we had an AI specialist who sat with them and did a really deep dive into the future of AI. It went on the history of it, how you can use it in your practice. And then we had the director of the Design Museum come talk to us about showcasing historical artworks and design works and what design means and the functionality. We had the big dogs from Oakley come and talk to them about all through the product was yet to be released. It was for them, it was something that become almost like they were being onboarded to Oakley's messaging, but in a totally different way because they were learning. So actually, Oakley was
so engaged at all times.
Giving them something, and that was amazing. And obviously, they got kitted out in the latest gear, all of that. But I think that this Oakley 5, and it went through Oakley, and it won internal awards of being the most innovative. And it was something which we knew it became a template for what they can do in the future, which is now going to be rolled out and again. So it was taking something very simple, we want to do something tech, and we want to do a panel. We were like, no.
Let's give it push the boundaries. Let's think outside the box here, please.
We obviously had a banging DJ and stuff as well. It was just a really, really wonderful event. And
so you're almost to add to your long list of amazingness, kind of an event. Not planner, but an event innovator as well.
We've done loads of ideas for events. We launched a fund because we realised that the creative industries is in a bit of a sad place. I think particularly the LGBTQI community, and the trans community was having in the public sphere there was so much hate, and we were like, right, okay. So we launched the fund, and then we realised through the applications that we got, some of them were so heartfelt. We were kind of reading them just oh my God. So it's a cash prize. So some dirty, cold, hard money. Here's some money. Do whatever you want with it.
Amazing.
And then, here's money to fund what you're doing for the future. You don't have to even spend it on this event. And we would do full 360 production of an event for you, an amazing gallery space with a full tech stack. It was
super.
It was phenomenal.
So obviously you are from Norwich.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to basics, you know. Guys, she was once in your shoes. Let's not forget this. So you're from Norwich. And then you almost kind of built your own little, I know you said agency, but like a collective, I guess, when you moved to London. Like, how did you start that? Because I think that's the way forward. Like, I don't work in a silo, you don't work in a silo. Like, you can't possibly, if you're creative with lots of ideas, work on your own. So how did you go about finding your people, your tribe, your gang, your culture to bring your ideas to life? And then that's one bit. And the second part of the question is, how did then Nike discover you, or did you apply to them, or how did you start working with, basically how did you start making money? That's what we need to know.
Yeah, so I think your like peer learning is so important, and you're obviously in such a vibrant and diverse city. Like London is a place full of like really ripe subcultures. Yeah. And I was like on the door at clubs, you know, door whore, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Yes, say it all.
But I worked at the Georgian Dragon.
Amazing.
So me and Anthony were like there with Saran Woodcroft, like, you know, and it was like when all of like London was such a vibe, like Lee McQueen, you know, like it was just such a wonderful time, and like to be a part of the energy of London. And I mean, I was out there. I was talking to people. Like the reason why me and you know each other is because we were magnetically drawn to one another. Because you know, you find your people, and I think when you find those people, you plan stuff together. Like, what can we do? How can we draw attention?
Just make something happen.
Totally, to our thinking. To how can we reach out? Like I reached out to Bistrotech, which was the go-to place. Yes. And we did an amazing collaboration with like Millie Brown, who famously had been working with Lady Gaga. So it was like just drawing media attention to us and what we were doing, having a point of view, and just being so well versed in what we cared about, risk taking, like every single piece of like money that I earned at my pathetic bar job, like I earned in the cultural kudos and of being amongst those people, but I put it back into whatever I was building. Yeah, amazing. And that was really, I mean, obviously rents were a lot cheaper then. Yeah, but isn't it? But it's like we did things that drew attention. Yeah, but they were not for explosive means. They were actually thoughtful, and they had something to say. So it wasn't just for the sake of it. They always had an opinion.
So you were making noise, but with intention.
With intention, exactly.
B, networking.
Yeah, networking.
You've got to network. Yeah. Like if you don't, it's all about who you know, not what you know.
Yeah, and I gotta say about like there's this saying like have a brass neck. You know, put yourself out. But I will say one of the most disgusting things is if you're too networky. Yeah, it's fine. It's like there's a balance, because number one, everyone there's haters, right? So you've got to ignore the haters, but there's something you need to build honest relationships with your kin, with like that kinship, and you build family. Yes. You do not build for the sake of building.
That is so true.
Because you need to stick with the people that are, the people I met when I moved to London. Are my inner core. They're still my friends, and we still like I said, the godparent of my children, and we're all building different things together. But that connection is so raw and important. So it's like how you.
It's about finding your tribe and that kind of spiritual connection, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
And knocking on the doors.
Oh my God, yeah, totally.
If you don't ask, you don't get.
Totally.
And I'll say it and say it and say it till my mother taught me that. And you know, the world's famous humanoid robot, Sophia, the only way that I got to work with her 3 times was by saying, hello, hello. And I then stalked on LinkedIn, hello, you've emailed my email, you've ignored my email twice now. Yeah. You know, so.
No shame.
Exactly. Yeah. But going back to what you said about networking, but you know, doing it with authenticity. I think it's about the idea of like knowing your core pillars, like who are you? What do you actually want from this networking event or from this person? Not just being like, doing it for doing it. Oh my God, Leanne, I could talk to you all day. So one last thing, what's your advice and tips for our fantastic students that like to tune into all these episodes?
I think that we spoke about lots of them. It's like how you can build your peer structure and how you can stay connected and true and authentic to that. I think also the thing about knocking on doors, everyone's really busy. So you're not annoying, you just show up more in their emails and their LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn is a really big one, actually. Everyone should spend more time on LinkedIn because you can see the C-suites and marketing.
More and more people are saying that, you know. So get your LinkedIn profiles looking slick.
We've gone viral on LinkedIn. Imagine it, but it was like a big, you know, because we are opinionated, but it comes with, we're solving problems. So it's like, wow. Also, the other thing is finding your other. If you're a creative and you need a CEO, like, I'm a CEO and I'm very data orientated. I'm like the business plan mechanism. I'm the fundraiser.
You've got a business head as well as being creative.
Partnerships, like how can we grow? How can we build ecosystem partnerships? Like we're currently got an ecosystem partnership with EPAM.
Amazing.
You know, which is phenomenal. And it's like, you know, IPO'd, a massive tech company, 66,000 employees. And right now, it's like, how can our company grow? Well, we are connected to them, so we share services. So I think like when you're thinking about who you are and what you're doing, it's like, how can you connect with someone that's bigger than you? And what do you bring to that? What is the partnership entry? And also building your team. Like I have my co-founder, Katite, creative director, and we work symbiotically. You know, we have calls that go on for 4 hours where we're drilling into things really deeply. And it's like, you know, I think there's opposites is really good for when you're building a business. I think you have to have the vibe and that connection of the common goal, because all you're building, your business is a manifesto, constant KPIs, constant check-ins to make you sure you're on that goal, letting your team know you're on that goal. This whole thing about like building a business is like building a collective. You know, they're one and the same thing. And I really think it's important, if you are super creative and you don't care for business and spreadsheets and things like that.
Get someone that does.
Yeah, totally. But also learn it yourself as well. Because sometimes the things you don't want to do, you just have to do. Top tip that I think lots of people who are neurodivergent anyway, like ADHD, is like, how can you convince yourself with like CBT to kind of go, okay, I'm sitting down to do my spreadsheets. I'm also going to go and I get a pedicure at the same time. So you're constantly aligned with this like delightful thing that's about to happen, which is quite bougie, and you're kind of like, but you're doing the spreadsheets. It's like, link it. So like Pavlo and that whole theory of like, right, I'm doing spreadsheets. It's surprise, delight. It's like, great, it's a fun thing.
Do you use ChatGPT?
Oh yeah, I think like AI is like wonderful. I will say that AI, Bob, it's a language model. It's a very sophisticated language model. So I had an amazing conversation with some of the team at the FT, Financial Times, about AI. It's hilarious because it's become like the party conversation. But even your grandma talks about it. Like, you know, just like, oh, you know, everyone's using it. And I think it's really important because it's democratized knowledge, which is great. You can now build a business plan. You can't trust it 100%. You need to keep asking it questions. You need to validate in the real world. But I think like those AI, be it Claude or ChatGPT, they're fantastic to build something, and for you to, if you haven't got a team yet, for them to be your marketeer or to have like a tete-a-tete and sounding one back and forth with. So
and just to like get that brain dump out, and then for them to like feed you some, I didn't think about that. Right, that's all we've got time for in this episode. Leanne, thank you so much for being.
My pleasure.
I feel like I'm so inspired. I feel like I'm going to fly out of here and become this new woman of culture, tech, innovation, pow. But thank you so much, and I hope you all feel the same. Please do make sure that you follow IoDF on Instagram and LinkedIn. Check out the articles, check out what they're doing. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.